Hello everybody, and welcome to Homesteading with the Gardners. Well, today is Thursday, and I'm taking a break from the land today because this weekend's going to be a very big weekend, and you want to tune in. Probably I will be able to get the video up maybe Sunday, or I'm hoping on Sunday. If not, it will be next week. But we are actually going to be moving one of our RVs onto the property this weekend. And then we'll be moving our big RV out there maybe during the week next week, or it would be the following weekend. But today's video, and I hope that I want to ask you in the very beginning, if you are wanting to follow us to see how we're doing things. We're not pros. We're just regular people in our middle 60s trying to do the best that we can, and we're going to show you what we do and hope that it is a help to you. So we're asking that you subscribe to our channel, so hit the subscribe bell button and give us a thumbs up, and please ask questions. We would love to share our knowledge with you, and if you have a comment, we would love for you to put that in the comments as well so that we can interact. We would love that, and you might can impart some wisdom unto us, right? So we're so blessed, and we're very excited that we're able to get out there on the land. So what I want to talk about today is preparing your pantry. And I know there's tons of videos out there about this, and you know, they tell you all the products that you should have, and I am going to give you a list of things that I think is important for you to stock your pantry with. And just for research purposes, you can go and research pantries and go back to the 40s, 50s, whatever, on what a stocked pantry would have looked like and been like back then. So for right now, going forward, I promised in one of my previous videos that I was going to give you a very easy formula to calculate how much food to have in whatever period of time. So we're going to first start with our list of things that I think is really important to have in your pantry. And I'm going to tell you what I do with those items once I get them home, okay? So, rice, white rice. Don't invest in brown rice unless you're going to use it short term. And the reason you do not want to stockpile brown rice is because there's a lot of oils in that brown rice, and it has a tendency to go rancid really fast. It's not for long-term storage. So white rice. Now, when I get my white rice home, I take a 5-gallon bucket and I empty my bags of rice in the 5-gallon bucket, okay? And what I do is I layer as I'm going. So I throw some bay leaves, whole bay leaves, at the bottom of the bucket, the middle of the bucket, and definitely on the top of the bucket. And then I make sure my lid has no cracks in it, and I tighten it down, and I date it, okay, because I'm rotating my 5-gallon buckets. So I will use out of one. I've dated that one, current use. Then the other ones, as I'm stockpiling my rice, then I date them. Beans. You want all kinds of beans that your family eats. Don't invest in beans that you're not going to eat. It would make no sense unless you're really going to go for it. So the only bean that I do not care for is actually a pea, and I do not like black-eyed peas. I hate them. They taste like burnt beans to me. But, so that's not one I would choose. But I do black beans, I do kidney beans, pinto beans, all the other beans and peas, lentils, all of those. I will stockpile those. And yes, they go in. Some I have left the beans in the bags and put them in 5-gallon buckets, again with bay leaves down in the bucket, okay? Then most of all my other 5-gallon buckets that I have stored have separate beans in them, so it's all one. All of the bucket would be pinto beans or kidneys or whatever they may be. And again, I date them and I rotate my stock, and bay leaves go in that as well. Why bay leaves? Because bugs don't like bay leaves. They don't like it. So your bay leaves are your best bet. I've never had a problem. I've been stockpiling and prepping since the 80s, and I've done this the same way, and I've never had any issues. Not to say someone might not. I'm just saying I don't. That eliminates the cost for me for Mylar bags. Okay, now I have done Mylar bags, and there are certain things that I do put in there for the long-term storage. And then you've got to get the oxygen absorbers, which you can buy on Amazon. Okay, so beans, rice, beans, flour. Do not stockpile all of self-rising flour. It doesn't keep. You want to use all-purpose flour, and I would stockpile as much of that as you can. Again, I put bay leaves in it. I put it in my 5-gallon bucket. I date the bucket. I use out of one, rotate it, and all of that. Salt, same thing. Put your salt in 5-gallon buckets. You do not need to put bay leaves in that, but that one you don't. But you could if you want for extra assurance. So stockpile your iodized salt. Iodized salt. Baking soda. When I buy my baking soda, they come in, either the big boxes or the small boxes. Either one, it doesn't matter. Baking soda has a ton of uses, and I can just rattle off a few. You can use a deodorizer in baking. You can use it as a toothpaste. You can use it as a cleanser to scrub your sinks with, because it takes the place of Comet, but it doesn't have all the toxic chemicals in that, okay? So baking soda, and that's just some items that you can use it for. You can also brush your teeth with it. Baking powder. You want to stockpile your baking powder to go with your flour for different things that you're going to bake. A basic pantry, a natural pantry, is going back to the basics. It is baking and cooking by scratch without all of those pre-boxed meals. They're not good for you anyway. And so when I cook or bake, most of the time it's by scratch. So I don't use those boxed meals, stuff like that. Shortening and oils. The cost of corn oil is going up. If you use canola oil, if you use olive oil, it's all going up. Shortening is shelf stable, and it goes a long way. And I do both. I do oil and I do the shortening. Shortening can also be used as a candle. So just a little hint, and you can research that. Seasonings. I never use a blend. I only buy singles because I don't need all that extra stuff in there that I don't care for. And blends sometimes has a lot of MSG in it. So I buy singles, okay? So you want to stock up on seasonings that you and your family use, which would be garlic powder, onion powder, and you can make your own by dehydrating, and I'll do a video on that. Right now, with us being temporary, things are in storage. So, but seasonings, chili powder, cumin, your garlics and your onion powders, your parsley, your paprika, things like that. Okay, you're gonna, because of the cost of things, this is your hedge against all of that. Cocoa powder for beverages, for baking. When you're in say you're in an emergency situation where maybe the power's off or whatever, and you can bake on your campfire or your grill great stove, great griddle, right? There's a multi-uses you can use. If you've got propane stocked up, which is something else, we're talking food only, but let's just say you want, in an emergency situation, you would not believe that your body uses more calories. It burns more calories. You're under stress, okay? If you've ever been in a hurricane, or you've been in a tornado, or you've been in earthquakes like I have, and I've been without power for an extended period of time. And in flooding, I've been in the floods too, where we had things shut off until they could be turned back on and safe to use. So you need something sweet to de-stress. And I know that you're going to say, we don't need all that sugar. No, I know that, but it's different when you're under certain circumstances. A treat for your children is nice to have, and if you can make them something, if you don't have these things, you won't be able to do it. You're not going to be able to go to the store and buy gummy bears or a candy bar or whatever your kids' favorite candies are. You're going to need to make something, okay? So cocoa powder, stock it up. Same as a flour, it will last a long time. Once you open your can, those little cans, they're not real big, so you're fine there. Tang, yes, Tang has sugar in it, but it also has a high amount of vitamin C that you need for your immune system. So, if a person can't tolerate certain things, well, maybe they can tolerate Tang, okay? If their stomach is sick or something like that, at least it's got the vitamin C in it. So Tang stores, okay? You can use Tang powder. That's what I would do, is have the Tang powder. Tuna, cans of tuna. I would prefer a can of tuna than the foil pouches, although I do buy, but for long-term storage, I do want cans. And you could buy whatever tuna you prefer. Canned soups. Canned soups are essential in a stockpile situation. Now, if you can your own soup, fine, great. But always have some cans available. And what you can do to bulk a meal, to make a meal, just say, I'm going to give you an example. If you like the pot roast Progresso soup and you had rice or pasta, that will bulk that up and feed a family. Or you can use instant mashed potatoes and put that soup over that. It's almost kind of like a shepherd pie. So I'm just saying. Potato flakes, instant potato flakes. You can put those in 5-gallon buckets if you want to take it out of the box, but also make sure that you devote that 5-gallon box to those potato flakes and write or tape the ratios, the directions to the bucket. Okay, just a tip. All right, pasta is a big one. Pasta will last you forever. I put mine in 5-gallon buckets, and my goodness, I have had pasta for years. It's dried, so get pasta. When Kroger's does the pasta and it goes on sale for 49 cents, there's your stock up. Watch Kroger's. They're not doing it as often, but they still do it. I just stocked up on some more. Canned meats of any kind that you prefer. Even if it were Vienna sausages, and I know you like saying, like, who? But if you're needing something meat, those Vienna sausages can go on crackers, which is another staple that you need to have. But you canned deviled ham, potted meat, Spam. They have canned hams, deviled ham, just whatever canned meats are. Canned chicken. If you like the canned chicken, do the canned chicken. But there are all those things out there, and they can make meals. Okay, so canned meats, canned or dried fruit. Okay, any of those. I've even bought the new vacuum pack, but I mean for long-term storage, like a couple years, I would prefer the cans again. And there is an aluminum can shortage, so the cost is going to be given over to you just like everything else. If the commodity that we're talking about, whether it's fruit, vegetables, or whatever, if there's a shortage in supply because of crop failures or whatever the case may be, that cost is going to you and to me. So again, that's why I do stockpile. I hedge against the cost of goods. So canned or dried fruit. This also makes a good treat. Okay, so you can make a dessert with that canned fruit. You can just eat it right out of the can. You can drink the liquid out of that also for something to drink. Canned vegetables. So you want your carrots. If you don't can, if you're not into canning, canned beans, canned vegetables, canned potatoes, all of those things, get those. Look at your dates on the can. Get the furthest date out that you can buy on the shelf. Okay, and Aldi's is a good resource, as well as Walmart, of course. Between Aldi's and Walmart, they would be the two that have the best ongoing daily price, and sometimes Kroger's can beat that on very few things, but it depends on their mega sales on Kroger. Buy powdered milk. If your family is a milk drinker and you're not on land and you don't have a goat to milk or a cow, you want powdered milk and canned milk, evaporated milk. Get both, because again, you would use it in baking. You're going to use it to drink, for cereal, whatever the case may be. Sweeteners. Your two sweeteners. Honey lasts a long, or is shelf stable a long time. Even if it got hard, you can warm that up and decrystallize it. It's usable. And sugar. Regular pure cane sugar. Okay, again with the sugar, I put it in 5-gallon buckets, and I put my bay leaves in there, and it doesn't change the taste of my sugar, and I'm not afraid to do that. So I do use bay leaves. Crackers can take the place of bread if you need it to go along with your canned meats, okay, or your tuna fish on crackers. So with the crackers, there's two things that I do with those. Now, I would prefer those to be Mylar vacuum sealed, or in a vacuum sealer, or in glass jars. Because the glass jars plastic is fine, but if you're wanting to keep your crackers in good condition, I put mine in glass jars. I buy the big glass jars. When those are empty, if I need them for soup or whatever, well, then I still have the jar, right? So these are just some of the things that I would recommend, that every week or every pay period that you can go out and buy in bulk. Buy the bigger bag, okay, of rice, beans, Tang, your powdered milk, things like that. Buy the biggest that you can afford to buy, and go get you some buckets, and put your food in there. If you feel like you need to put them in Mylar bags, then order them off of Amazon, and get the bigger bags, because you can always cut the bag and seal it on both ends, and you also have to have the oxygen absorber, okay? But for me, I use the 5-gallon buckets. I've never had a problem with it, and I'm good. You can also use your glass jars, but I keep most of those for my canning, because I do can soups, I do can vegetables and fruit and everything. So I just want to encourage you, it is wise to do this to the best of your ability. And on top of the food, I would also do vitamin C, vitamin D3, zinc, 50 milligrams. Get the highest amount of vitamin C that you can. I order mine through a couple different sources. But again, it's, I can tell you everything of where I get everything, and I will later in my videos as I go along. I'm just starting out. But if you go out and do the research and you find your prices, you may find something after I've told you this at a better price. So always start with Amazon, compare it to Walmart, buy the best quality vitamin that you can afford to buy. If you have a Costco membership, check their prices out against Amazon or Walmart.com. And the reason I'm encouraging you is because if you were right now, let's just say, just take the loaf of bread. A loaf of bread is anywhere from, if you're talking Miss Baird's or Nature's Own or any of those, okay? It's almost $3 a loaf, up and up, right? So let's just say that in 3 months from now, that loaf of bread cost you another $1 a loaf of bread. Are you going to have to pause and think about, well, how much bread does our family use, as opposed to taking some of the staples on this list and making your own bread, learning how to do it? And I would advise you that if you've got recipes on bread making that you haven't committed to memory, that you get them in a book, in case you don't have internet or in case you don't have electricity. You can still find ways to bake bread or make a quick bread on an open fire or an oven that you make and you use wood. Just a suggestion, okay? I am a woman of faith. I do believe in God. I believe God will take care of me. I believe that God created us and He gave us a conscience. He gave us a brain. And I believe that God expects us to do our part. And if we see that these prices, I know people are struggling right now, today. And it's not going to get better right now. And I want to hope that and pray that it does. And if it does, then that is great for everyone. And if it doesn't, then you and I and the people that are already struggling are going to be pinched tighter, because the items are going to keep going up in price and they may not be available. So if you've got young children, think about when you see socks on sale, can you afford to get more than one pack? If you see them on sale, maybe go up a size if you have children that are growing. If not, what about your husband? If he's still working, are you working? What about those extra pair of shoes that keep going up? Or jeans or anything, just any and everything. You don't have to go overboard. But the more that you hedge against inflation, the better off you're going to be 6 months from today. And that's why I'm saying this. I trust God's going to take care of me, but I know that He wants me to do my part. So, as an example, if this body was sick, and I knew I wasn't right, God gave me a brain to go with faith, believing that everything's going to be all right, or, praying that God's going to take care of me right now. But if I got worse, what am I going to sit there and, just wonder what's going on? Or what if it got really bad and I waited too long to go and check things out? I'm gonna get really real right now. I have a condition, which is I have diverticulitis and diverticulosis. Okay, so I have a chronic problem there. Well, I woke up one morning. This is how fast this happened. We were out of town. I woke up and I said, I don't feel so good. I thought it was my stomach. That's my stomach. I'm hurting. We were 6 hours from home. More than that because we stayed and visited family members. By the time we got home, I told my husband, help me get in the house. I started running fever that same day. The pain got worse. I couldn't even stand for a bump in the road. Okay? By the time I got home, I said, help me get in my pajamas. No, wait. Just get me to the emergency room. And I am not an emergency room person. I can tell you this. And before I finish that story, let me tell you this story. And I'm not rambling, but I'm just giving you an example. On my way to work, I'm a retail store manager. Got to get up early. Got to get to that store. I hadn't been feeling well. A lot of chest pains, a lot of stress in my life at that time. And I couldn't get to the store. I turned that car around. I called the other manager. I said, I'm going to the emergency room. Got to the emergency room. I had 4 doctors working on me. I ended up in ICU. And I didn't call any family members because I'm not an emergency room person. And I called my husband. I said, hey, I'm not going to be home for dinner. He says, what? Are you working a double again? I said, no. I've been in the ICU since a little after 7 this morning. What? Well, that's who I am, okay? I'm just sharing with you me. And so getting back to the first story. I get there to the emergency room, and I'm in the waiting area. I'm in excruciating pain. My face had turned colors. Blood red, I think they said. And I was just shivering with the fever and pain. Finally, when they got me back there and started treating me, they sent me I had a CAT scan. I was septic. One day. Septic. My vitals started crashing, and I was in and out of consciousness, and I could hear the doctors telling my daughter Julie, who's a nurse. She was the one with me. The doctor said I would be fine, and everybody went home, but my daughter stayed with me. And the doctor comes in as my vitals are my organ. I'm starting to shut down, and said you should call your immediate family. You should call your dad to come in. And I'm praying for God to take me. I'm ready to go. And I was saying, just take me, God, when I would come to. And my daughter's, I could hear her sitting next to me praying for me. And so that's how things can quickly change. So the reason I said all of those things, to hedge against things, to prepare, to get vitamins, to get your medications, to get these things, is that I think God wants us, or expects us, if He expects us to go to work to take care of ourselves. I think that, as in the Bible, Joseph was told by God that there was going to be 7 days of feast and 7 years of famine. And during that feast, to prepare for that famine. And then at the end, he saved his kingdom and he saved his family, right? They were hungry. So, all things in moderation, prayer and faith in God for all things, good, bad, and ugly, right? But be wise and prepare. And so I just want to encourage you that anybody can do this. You can start somewhere. Start anywhere. but put something back. Go to the grocery store when you're going. Do you need that Starbucks coffee? Do you need that fancy purse? Do you need plastic toys out the wazoo for anything that's going to break and be thrown in the trash anyway? You know, think about your Christmas gifts this year. Why not give a basket of food and make it pretty and make it nice? Maybe it's bags of beans and put them in a jar, put ribbon around them. I'm just throwing out some ideas. Maybe make an extra, if you sew, why not make a double thick blanket like I'm doing? Hold on, family, I know you guys got kitchen stuff last year, and you usually get a blanket or something. But listen, I'm making double thick fleece blankets for myself and my husband and my son and my daughter, okay? So that we're warm. I'm thinking along those terms. What if we lose power? What do we have that's going to keep us warm? So I'm thinking along those things. I'm always a planner. I'm always a prepper. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. I'm a grandma. So I'm thinking, what good gifts can I give that really is going to mean something? If my grandbabies, if they want cash, whatever, I understand. But this year, no adults are getting gifts. It's grandkids only, and a great grandbaby that will be here. That's it. That's it. We are scaling back, but I'm going to make that gift count to my grandkids, no matter what. I mean, that for sure. So, at this point, I know I'm rambling just a little bit, but I'm just sharing with you a part of me, which I don't normally do, on a personal level. But those are my thoughts, and I do what I'm telling you. I do it. I just can't emphasize enough. You can turn the news on. You can read the newspaper. You can do whatever it is. Once the TV starts telling people of shortages, then beware. It's way past what they're saying. They're going to tell you, though, at the very end. So I just encourage you, do something. Do something today. Do it now, and do it for yourself if you're single. If you're not and you've got a family, just do it, because make sure that you've got warm clothes. Make sure that you've got food for your family. Use the scratch basic, the traditional kitchen, rather than all these high salty pre-boxed dinners. And if you hear, that's my AC in my camper. But I'm going to share more as we go along. I'll be sharing recipes. We'll be cooking together. We're going to be growing food together. If you live in an apartment, I know this is a long video. If you live in an apartment, you can grow food on your balcony. If you don't have a balcony, find a window. If you are in a home, in a subdivision, you can grow things in your backyard. You can even grow herbs in your front yard. You find a way, research it on YouTube or Pinterest. Do something to help yourself in any way that is possible. Fixed income, if you've got a dollar store prep, then do that. It doesn't matter where you get your resources from, although you've got to know your prices and your ounces to come ahead at the dollar store. Go to Aldi's. Their canned goods, a lot of them can be 49 cents. Kroger's, watch the ads. Watch H-E-B. Okay? You know that most cases, the canned goods at this very moment at Walmart, like your basics, corn, peas, carrots, potatoes, they're still like 50 cents a can. Some of them are going up. So that's why I'm saying. Like I recently went to Kroger's. Swanson's brand beef gravy. That is normally almost $1 a can, close to $1 a can. 49 cents is what I got it for. When those soups, Progresso soups, go on sale, if you need the heart healthy, when those go on sale and they're 99 cents a can, that's your stock up time. If you don't have a Kroger's, there's Fred Meyer's in your area. Look at all the affiliates under the Kroger's. So it's not exclusive to certain areas. There's other affiliates in other states. But with all this said, I know it's a lot. I tried to talk slow enough on the beginning list. That's a basic list of preparedness there. Now, to the formula. This is the most important part. Here's the formula. Let's say I want to stock up, tuna, my protein. And right now I'm starting out and I want to stock it up for 1 month. But I really only eat tuna once or twice a week. Let's go with twice a week for lunches and maybe a tuna casserole. Okay? So that means 2 cans of tuna would be needed to stockpile for 1 month. It's 2 cans a week, so there's 4 weeks in a month. Why don't you just round it up to 5? But this is the formula regardless. 4 weeks, 2 cans per week is 8 cans. That's 1 month supply. You're going to need a vegetable, if it's veg-all, whatever it may be, to go in there. Depending on how big of a casserole you make, it's 1 or 2 cans, correct? How often are you going to do that casserole? Those are the things that you've got to think on. One of the basics, that a lot of people cook probably would be spaghetti, maybe meatloaf. So in that component, you've got tomato sauce, right? Or tomato paste, whatever it may be. So what's your sides? We're talking canned items. So if you need 1 can of tomato sauce and you have meatloaf once a week or whatever it may be, that's still the same calculation. So in other words, a good hint would be to make a list of your regular foods that you eat a week. Find out what ingredients goes in that list. How many cans of vegetables will you need to make that recipe? How often do you eat it a month? So for us, vegetables, like we'll probably eat green beans once or twice a week. So I'm going to go with 2. And I want to stock up at still 8 cans for 1 month. So you just keep multiplying that, and pretty soon you will have more than 1 month stocked up. Okay? That's the basis that you use. How many canned goods do you need for the week, for your meals, for your dinner that you normally eat, or a side dish? Just calculate it that way. That is the easiest way to do it. On your rice and your beans and things like that, your salt, your sugar, your baking sodas, powders, there's no recipe. There's no formula. Just get a bucket, fill that bucket up, go to the next bucket, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. Date your buckets. Don't stop. Keep going. Keep going. With your flour, learn to make your basic pancake mix. Your breads, things like that. So we'll do more later, but I don't want to keep this any longer. It's already a 39-minute video. So I wish you guys the best. I want you to subscribe to my channel. I'm asking you to do that. I'm asking you to follow me because you're going to see this RV this weekend. I'm going to get it on that property. I'll be filming all of it. And our pontoon boat. And then the second RV will be coming out after that. So follow us. We're going to do a lot of different things. I'm going to give you as much knowledge as this brain has in it. I've been doing this for over 20 years. So, you ready for it? I hope so. I hope so. Because there's things coming down that, we're in a really rocky place, everybody. God God is our hope. He's our salvation, and He is our provider. But with that comes these hands to also toil the soil and do the work that we need to do. So together we're going to do it. Okay? Y'all have a blessed evening, and share this with your friends and family member. I hope this helps. It's just a start, but we're going to do more. I promise. All right. Well, I'm out. I've got dinner to prepare. God bless. Have a good one. We'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.